Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to the Toronto Raptors 103-101 win against the Washington Wizards. This might be the first buzzer beater of the season, Ryker. Gary Trent Jr., he's coming out, he's setting NBA records on the Toronto Raptors, he's hitting game winners. What were your takeaways from this game, Ryker, especially that last minute or so?
He called game. It's in the thumbnail, Ben. So credit to Gary Trent Jr. for an incredible Jalen Suggs. Is it Jalen Suggs? A Suggs-esque shot. And people can get excited about this one because it was truly icy. He straight up called game, Ben. No, he was not looking to pass. He was not looking to call a timeout. That was his game, his shot. He got, I don't know, I wouldn't call it a little bit of a push-off because Avida, I practiced this 100 times, and now that the actual podcast is rolling, I'm not going to remember how to pronounce it.
The pressure's on.
Avdia, he was out there. He got away. They called it a charge on Pascal Siakam. He was in the restricted zone, so I think it was a missed call on both sides. But let's not take away from Gary Trent Jr.'s shot. And Ben, this is my thoughts on the final 1 minute. Was we see the boys down by 19, but Malachi Flynn, Bembry, OG, they're balling. And we're like, this is great because we're developing the young core, but we're still losing in line with our tanking. Next thing you know, fourth quarter, they battle back. They're up by 8 points. So you're saying, I don't want to win this game. It's not really no Bradley Beal. All of a sudden, Russell Westbrook brings it to 1. Then they hit the buzzer beater. I mean, you just have to respect that win, Ben.
You got to respect. Oh my goodness. Things are going crazy on the base. I don't know what happened there. All the animations are playing. Everyone's excited for this win, right? I don't know how that sounded to people, but Ryker, you just explained it. You summarized it. I only caught the last minute of this game. It's also the reason we're a bit late live streaming on this. I had some school stuff come up, some emergency school stuff, some wild stuff I won't get into, but that last minute, you mentioned it. Russell Westbrook came down, hit the 3. It said, this could be the perfect game. Malachi, I just picked up Malachi on my fantasy team, so I'm there excited for Malachi Flynn balling out. I bought low on Malachi, brought him in. He came out balled out. Gary Trent, obviously, he went down with that scary injury I heard earlier on, and then bounced right back and played a really solid game in limited minutes. Well, I guess he ended up playing 31, but just down the stretch, you thought Westbrook would get it. You thought Siakam and would be getting a major gold star again tonight. Well, I guess it wouldn't. It'd be an anti-gold star because the tank season might be in effect, and we'll talk about that later. I see a bunch of people in the chat speaking about it, but it's a situation where Gary Trent, you get those wins, right? We said in the Warriors game, if it's an exciting win, right, it's something to be happy about, especially where I didn't realize how many games are left in the season, Ryker.
How many do you have the number, or just there is plenty of games?
It's about a third, but the thing about it is usually this time of year, you know, there's a couple weeks left in the year. You don't really know what's going on, but there's like 6 weeks of games left to go this year. So even if we win a couple now and we still want to tank at the end, it's not do or die right now for Cade Cunningham or Suggs.
Yeah, the big fear is still that the Raptors just make 10th seed. You win the play-in tournament, but then you have a very tough first-round matchup. I don't think, based on having such a close game, being down 19 points by the Beal-less Wizards with, again, closing this game was, I don't know the pronunciation, I'm going to get flamed, Avdia, Bertans, Denny Avdia, Davis Bertans, who was one of the worst net rating defensive players in the NBA, Raul Neto. God, this is the worst team for pronouncing names as well. Alex Len played significant minutes. He played 30 minutes. This has got to be one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA right now, and the Raptors still kind of struggled. So I don't want to put a lot of stock in their ability come playoff time against a good team. But again, to win in this fashion, the same way, to historically win by such a margin, have these great plus minuses against the Golden State Warriors, you still have to feel happy watching these games, Ben. I think this season is about excitement. It's about having fun and just not caring. And when you have games like this where Gary Trent Jr. he's only been on the team for 6-7 games, hits a 3-point to win, you rarely see those. When Malachi Flynn, we've been roasting him for, you know, as much as his dad. Okay.
I've been roasting his dad. I've been on his dad. I've been on his dad. You've been on him.
I've been on him, but this He was Mountain West Division's Defensive Player of the Year. And tonight, 4 steals, Ben, 3 blocks. He's looking like a defensive mastermind out there. 16 points. He had hezzy crosses. He was going baseline, little dump passes off the Siakam. He had nice transition passes to OG. He was shooting 3 with confidence. He looked like a true point guard out there, Ben. And so it's these games where at least you're inspired as to what the next season could look like.
Yeah. And we're all about next season. We're all about these things. But Ryker, during that exquisite explanation of the game, we got a super chat from Brian Martin bringing up not Gary Trent Jr., GOAT Trent Jr. came out, balled out, hitting game winners and stuff. And you brought up Flynn Sanity, right? Flynn Sanity is in there. GOAT Trent Jr. Who impressed you more tonight in this game? Shout out Brian Martin for that super chat.
I gave my recap of how Linsanity earned that nickname, so it's going to take a lot more from Malachi Flynn to get the Flynn Sanity nickname as well. But tonight he looked really impressive, Ben. He stat sheet stuffed again, hezzy cross off the pick and roll, engaging Aaron Baines of all players. He had a couple of nice shovel passes or dump off passes to Aaron Baines down the lane. He actually looked like an NBA player out there tonight. He was obviously still a pylon for a lot of it, but he looked nice. And it's because Malachi Flynn was playing the pick and roll effectively with him. Yeah. I just really liked what I saw. And then Gary Trent Jr., he's just so smooth. His shot didn't look like it was there for a lot of the night, but then, you know, he stepped up in the end. He had one shot, I think, to make it a bit of a dagger, and then obviously that final shot to win. So they both look good. They're promising young guys. The future is bright for the Raptors.
Yep. And Ryker, you brought him up. Aaron Baines, the insurance pylon. He looked really nice, or it seems like he played nice. You said he played good. 10 points, 8 rebounds, plus 20 for the game in the plus minus, right? So Aaron Baines came out. You mentioned his ability to play in the pick and roll with Malachi Flynn. And a point to this is Aaron Baines off the bench playing a role such as this and getting, obviously, with bench minutes, he'll get some of those roles. He'll get a few more touches. He can actually do more things, right? He's actually playing his natural role. So people have been trashing on him. I've seen a couple get rid of Baines in the chats already in this one, even though it seems like he had a solid game. But would you say Aaron Baines looked a lot better, more comfortable off the bench in this one?
Hashtag wave Baines. That's not our thing. That was just Sportsnet slip up.
I think I still have that. Ooh.
If it's still
on I do. I still got it up. From last game.
Put it up on the screen. Yep. Some poor person said hashtag wave Baines, and Sportsnet put it up on live TV. But he played good tonight. I think a lot of that is credit to Malachi Flynn for, again, engaging him on the pick and roll, not letting him just be a pick and pop center. Like, he actually rolled to the net with intent, and the point guard looked for him like a point guard center pick and roll combination should do. And so it looked nice. But again, the caveat being Denny Avdia. I'm hurting myself trying to pronounce his name. We need to get that segment. Denny Avdia, Davis Bertans, Alex Len was the competition. We cut Alex Len for goodness sake, and he still played better than Aaron Baines technically tonight. Raul Neto, Garrison Matthews, Robin Lopez, not terrific defenders. So I don't want to give too much props to Aaron Baines, but it's still nice when you see him play better than he normally does.
Well, speaking of Aaron Baines, we got another super chat, Ryker. Another super chat from honestly, I think he's the I haven't updated the people on the list. I got to do that. But James Frolic would Sir Frolic, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. The GOAT in the Raptors Digest DMs and the chat. He's been hitting us with the super chat saying that Aaron Baines was terrible. But I don't think Aaron Baines is terrible. So he's agreeing with us. He thinks Baines is solid. My reading is tough right now. But stop the tank. He is not on the tank. He is not playing the kazoos. And
have you played the tank animation, Ben?
No, I'll throw it up now. But this is the question. I think we can dive into this a little bit because James has been in the chat saying that he doesn't want the Raptors to tank for a while. Obviously, you and I have been breaking out the kazoos night after night since the trade deadline. Ryker, what are your thoughts at this point of the trade? And before we do, we're on the road to 20K subscribers. We got to plug it. We got Kyle Lowry driving that car. It might have to turn into a tank this road, but once we hit 20K subscribers, Ryker and I are going to release, we still got to record, a game of one-on-one, an intense game of one-on-one, I'm sure it will be.
4 more days, Ben. 4 more days till we lace them up, play some basketball.
Exactly. So definitely hit the subscribe button. Get into the like section. We had one of our best reaction videos in terms of likes in the last one. Let's try to get to 150 likes or something in this vid again. And I'm going to plug it again. We got the super chats going. But Ryker, with all that being said, with all that plug-in that's going on, happened in the middle of this pod, what are your thoughts on the tank? Are you breaking out the kazoos, or are you with James and saying
I'm
not
seeing
to tank?
two recurring comments. Is people just thoroughly impressed with Gary Trent Jr. and people saying, should we really tank though? And to that I say, don't forget that we've lost the season series against the Pistons, that we've lost against the Minnesota Timberwolves, that we lost against the historically losing most NBA team, Houston Rockets, third longest losing streak of all time. We've basically lost against every bottom team in the entire NBA. Don't be quick to forget those games. That's not to say that this core unit doesn't have promise. That's not to say Gary Trent Jr. can't be an amazing player for the Toronto Raptors. I'm a little bit worried, again, hitting a game-winning shot. How much is his market value going to go up this season? Of course, he's a restricted free agent, but I don't want to have to match a $25 million contract. We need a center, Ben. We need a center. And until somebody, Nick Nurse or whomever, can come up with a solution to how we can play better defense, Raptors, I believe, are 24th defensive rated team in the NBA. You're not going to make any ripples come playoff time. So the tank is still on. And I don't think it needs to be a negative thing. People don't need to say it's a bad thing to tank. Let's play out a fun season. Let's develop our core. Let's also pick up a great player. And let's tack the next season with intent and a center.
And a center. Ryker, you're on the tank. I am also playing the kazoos, even after our 2-game winning streak, which feels like the longest winning streak in years, even though we were good last season. But I'm breaking out the kazoos, you're breaking out the kazoos, and to all the points that you brought up, Ryker, because the Toronto Raptors obviously have talent on this roster. This is not a scenario where this team is, say, hey, you know, we're bad, we're the Wizard, like the Wizards have some talent as well, but they definitely don't have as much well-rounded of a roster as we do. We're definitely not the Pistons. We're not the Timberwolves. We're not the Rockets, right? But we're in a very unique situation where we don't have a home court this season, and that's only going to get worse as more and more people are vaccinated in the United States, because there will be actual home court advantages for other teams. And even worse, the Toronto Raptors or the Tampa Raptors might actually have fans in there, so even their home games will have opposing teams' fans, because we remember how brutal that was at the beginning of the year. So that's one big issue. So the Raptors have been playing on the road. It's tough even if you have a team we did last season with a center. Tough to win those types of games. Secondly, we had our whole team ravaged by health and safety protocols for about a month. That dug us into a hole that's going to be really hard to come out of. So even if we get to a point where we're back in the play-in tournament, where things go well, we find a way to work out without a center, we're playing the Brooklyn Nets in the first round. And yes, they don't have a center. Well, what am I even saying? They just signed 2 centers in the buyout market. I'm thinking to the Nets prior to getting all these guys, right? They're a really
3 centers.
Yeah, they're a very well-rounded team at this point. I think the Toronto Raptors, yes, they have the defense, the mobility, and you know, guys like, even if Gary Trent Jr. steps up, OG Anunoby steps up, which they seem to have been. And Siakam, I don't know. I saw some people say Siakam was trash in the chat. I don't know if that's just hate. But 22 points, 5 rebounds, 10 of 16 from the field. It seems like he played well. For people that are new to this, that didn't watch the beginning of this, I missed most of this game. So Riker's been carrying most of the game analysis. But Ryker,
let me say this, Ben, because the subject of tanking is going to come up in every single podcast now until the end of the season, unless they somehow win a ton of games, which not the worst thing in the world either. If they go on a 10-game winning streak and they all of a sudden find themselves in the 8th seed or 7th seed, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I don't think it makes sense because, again, come playoff time, the best teams will win on the inside. The Raptors don't have the interior defense or the interior rebounding right now. But people like Predator Kingdom, he's saying tanking is ineffective. Robert Palo is saying, good pick. The Bulls are tanking for 20 years.
I made the video on this. I made the video breaking down why tanking is bad long-term, to do it on purpose.
It's bad.
But the Raptors are unique. We are in a unique situation. We are not draining our team of talent to tank. The only hole we have in our roster is center, and Masai Ujiri purposely didn't fill it to maximize this 1 year of opportunity where you have talent, you're not gutting the roster, but then you can be bad. And I know it's bad, might hurt your winning culture, and that's definitely one thing to worry about. But when we're in the best of both worlds, Riker. We're having games where we're beating teams by 50 and hitting game winners, and Gary Trent Jr. is getting the swag going. Goat Trent Jr. as Super Chat Brian, I believe, said, right? We're having those games, those moments to see where this potential is, right? Having those moments that make you excited, make you not want to bail on these guys. But you're also developing the young core, and then you have the chance of bringing in a Suggs, Riker?
Yep.
Oh, next season, I'm juiced. You're getting the Zoos are getting
He's
juiced. Bro.
We got a super chat, a super comment. Death 4K. He's been there before. He says, "I'm for the tank."
He's still in the.
It is
animation.
Not do or die. Not every lose counts. Yeah. Also, can y'all talk about a first round matchup like we would get swept by Philly and the Nets? So to build off that point, because I'm also seeing a Jim Hughes say tanking is a gamble. You think you can see the future? No, it's not a gamble in this situation, because if the Raptors make the playoffs, unless they win the championship, their team will not change.
Yeah.
They will not get a draft pick. We have the core unit intact. Gary Trent Jr. is a restricted free agent. You still need to pick up a center in free agency. Yeah. You're still going to maybe sign and trade draft. Kyle Lowry. Right? Exactly. So the core unit is intact regardless. There's no benefit unless somebody can make a convincing argument how the Raptors could be a championship team without a center and without interior defense and rebounding. I don't think anybody can. So if you can have fun, build on your core unit and get a pick, whether that pick sucks, whether you pick the next Kwame Brown or you pick the next Zion Williamson, LeBron James, it doesn't matter. Your core unit is still there. So Death 4K, shout out for the super chat. That's exactly what you're saying. Your point is very valid. You don't need to lose every single game for the remainder of the season. You can have these fun wins, right? But to really say your goal is to make 9th seed, 10th seed play-in tournament and then probably lose in the first round against the Nets, who now have, I'm going to forget all the names, LaMarcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin, and
Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden, those
like, how are you beating that team? This is not us bashing the Raptors. This is saying you have the confidence that Aaron Baines can guard 3 legitimate one-time superstar in the paint. It's just not going to happen. So that's our point. People are saying now that they agree with us. So we've convinced the masses, Ben.
But and to build off those points, and they're talking because Death 4K brought it out, and I kind of agree, right? I don't think this team is depleted of talent. I'm talking about the Toronto Raptors to the point where we would get swept by a Sixers or a Nets. I think the defensive wing ability of OG Anunoby, Trent, we've clearly seen now in recent games, and Siakam coming back to form, right? That might be able to get you a couple games, a couple wins. But the glaring hole, the only real wins we've had this season, it feels like, when we didn't have the worst center out there on the court. And the Warriors last game, James Wiseman was brutal. And tonight, I saw the nickname earlier. We were talking about Flynn's sanity. Alex Len's sanity is the best center for the Washington Wizards. He's the starting center, and we waived him, right? This is we played against some very poor teams, and Riker, it looked bad. I didn't get to see most of the game. I've been saying it, for prefacing it for all the takes, but I've been peeping out the score. The Raptors were down for a large chunk of this game, and the Wizards are a tanking roster. And if you go up against a more talented team like we've seen the team go up against in previous games, you're just going to get killed down low. You're going to foul a bunch, right? We were having that short-term mindset right now. And obviously you want to get excited because you'd want to win these games, honestly, as a Toronto Raptors fan right now when you have the center advantage, because that means your core is actually playing well, right? But I don't have the full confidence in our big men, in our down low defense, our ability not to foul.
And they were getting bullied. They were getting bullied by this Wizards team in the paint.
13-8 for Alex at 4 blocks.
Yeah, so it wasn't a great one. Shout out to, who was it? I got to pause because I want to say shout out to Aaron Whalen. Why am I here? I'm a Blazers fan. LOL. I like watching Gary Trent Jr. So I guess I'm a Raptors fan now too. Shout out for joining Raptors Digest, just following Gary Trent Jr. over. But no, Death 4K.
Death
I
4K
mean,
is balling out tonight. I love it. I'm playing the segment, pressing that button.
why all the casuals want us to win so bad? Why can't our front office just talk as you two do? Even the commentators talk like we are contenders. That's funny. They talk like we're contenders, or they say the guys are tired all the time. Now, this is the one point that made sense to me, and I got to scroll up to find it. It was from R. Danzinger. Said, I'd rather a playoff run any day. This to me is it's a more valid argument to say, I just get more excited to watch the Raptors in the playoffs, even if it's a first and out.
Sure.
That's a fine argument to make, to say you don't really care about the long term of the future, right? What if you don't get Cade? What if you don't get Suggs? What if you get the 12th draft pick and that player ends up being like a Damian Lillard-esque guy, right? Or it ends up being like a solid center that you can build up because most of your core unit is pretty young. OG, Trent Jr., Malachi Flynn, Van Vliet, Siakam, he's not that young. But anyways, if your argument is just, yeah, we could get better, but I would prefer just to watch the playoffs because that's the most exciting time of the season, I can't give a rebuttal to that because playoffs is really fun. And Ben, there's another super chat. So
yeah, well, firstly, shout out Death 4K, right? We try to keep our takes, try to be authentic about the takes, even if it goes against the team winning. But as you said, we got another super chat from Pain Causing Samurai. I think two of these guys are in the. No, I made up a graphic. I haven't uploaded it yet. It was a hectic day today, but I thought Pain Causing Samurai was in the new one I edited. But Death 4K is there. But he said the weekend the Raptors won by 53. Portland was with Powell, won by 49. The Jazz with Matt Thomas won by 43. TD2 had a season best 27 points. And honestly, that's something we got to talk about. The Toronto Raptors, right? We had that big win, obviously, but we gave up a lot of guys that, obviously, Matt Thomas, I don't know how much of a role he played in that Jazz win, but specifically TD2.
He did play.
He looked really nice for the Sacramento Kings the other game. Obviously,
I think he had 16 points as well.
Matt Thomas did?
No, Terrence Davis. I think Terrence Davis had 16 points.
Terrence Davis had 27, I believe, in a game.
Ooh.
Yeah, so TD, I could be tripping. I believe my brain is a bit scrambled, as I mentioned earlier. School's getting the best of me right now, but I believe TD went off for something lucrative for the Sacramento Kings, even if it's 16. I believe it's 27, though. I'm sure the chat will correct us once we catch up to the chat. But firstly, TD2, he's obviously a talented guy. I think, that being said, even if he's successful somewhere, just all the off-the-court stuff, how things played out, this season wasn't going to work out well for him. He might be a free agent at the end of the year. Riker, even if he becomes, I think TD2 is talented enough to where he can find a really nice role in this league. It still was probably the move to trade him, get value back, because it probably wasn't going to happen in Toronto.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. And he was just so inconsistent. It didn't make sense. Maybe we can turn a second round pick into something. I do want to quickly shout out to Leyland Judson, who said, should we buy out Lowry and add depth for a playoff run? Absolutely not. Maybe sign and trade him. Maybe keep him around. You're not buying him out. There's no players left to buy out that or to pick up in the signing market that could make you competitive. So
make us competitive?
Yeah. Should we buy out Kyle Lowry and pick up a player to make a playoff run? There's nobody available right now. DeMarcus Cousins just got picked up by the Clippers, I believe.
Kyle Lowry is, without a doubt, 10 times better than anyone on the buyout.
TD had 27. Everybody's saying it. Before I go back to Death 4K, who was just absolutely raining on us tonight.
Death 4K with another one.
I need to go. I need to make my point. Actually, no. We'll talk about it. Then we'll swing it to the segments. I have a perfect segue, Ben.
Yeah, for sure. But shout out Death 4K with this. He buys tickets. And this is a big thing, too. We talked about this on podcast. I'll read it out. I buy tickets every year for the playoffs. This year, I can rather I just lose and get the pick. I apologize. The chat's going by quickly. Enjoy supporting them next year, watching the games in their own city. Completely agree. And this is something that's been brought up on our podcast by other pundits, that the Toronto Raptors, this year, the playoffs, the city, the fans, they're just as important to this team in the playoffs as the guys actually on the court, providing that energy, getting things going. And even if they made a playoff run, the huge incentive from the front office side of things is you make that bread from the fans. So maybe Masai looks at it as, hey, we're not getting the playoff revenue really, even if we get in there. The fans aren't going to be there to enjoy it. If you can tank 1 year, you're in such a unique circumstance. Don't trade for a center. Rock out that trade scenario. I don't know if you agree with that, but I think that's a really good point brought up by Death 4K.
I agree. I agree. And Jurassic Park, I mean, with everything that's going on, Toronto and Ontario is shut down again for another month. So you want to be able to have the fans be together to experience playoff runs. And let's swing to the segments. People were really on for a second. I don't know how it got started about Paul Pierce. I'm assuming you saw his IGs. Hilarious. They're a little bit explicit to be bringing up on the podcast, but we've been thinking about renaming the DeMarre Carroll to something more relevant. And Paul Pierce, now he's doubling down on his absolute, I don't know what you would
It
call
was
it,
funny
meme
though.
ability.
It was
Is pretty funny, but he's been a hardcore hater for the Toronto
yeah.
Raptors. So we'll bring him up again when we get to the DeMarre Carroll. We'll start with a spicy Pele, which, as you know, as everyone is fully aware, Ben is searching back and forth frantically. He's found it. It's sponsored, baby. Jungle Spice. Roja is the one that I'm holding, but he's got a ton of hot sauces out there. Ben, he let it slip that he still eats KD every now and then. He puts a little dabble on that.
I let it slip. I flex my KD eating craft dinner. Getting this up. Obviously, this isn't the bottle I've been eating out of. This is the one I keep outside the fridge. You've been eating the unrefrigerated hot sauce, but I don't know. It's quality stuff. I've been throwing it on chicken, throwing it on everything. But you can use the promo code We the North. I got it shown. I'm trying to point to it here. We the North to get 20% off your order of Tiger's Milk hot sauce. They got everything. It all tastes good. Right? We've been flexing the Roja Jungle Spice. Go to shoptigersmilk.com and try. Like, straight up try it. Try it. Send us a pic of you eating some Tiger's Milk on IG. We'll give you a little shout out. Definitely taste quality, Riker. But what's the spicy Pele of the day for this game?
The spicy Pele, Bembry. He's out there looking like Jason. Oh, I'm not gonna remember his name. The
Williams?
white chocolate Jason Williams. He's looking out there like Jason Williams. No look passes. Or the Ben Rogers Classic. Threw it off. That happened. Somebody finished with a dunk. It's very fleeting because I was trying to remember like 4 different plays because there was a ton. One, Malachi Flynn went baseline. Again, I said it like 3 times this podcast. Hezzy, cross, cut to the line, baseline, dump off. It was sweet. It was nice. He looked like a court general out there tonight. He had a little dump off too in transition to OG, who yammed it. There was a ton of fantastic plays, but of course, Ben, the spicy Pele or the icy 3, we have it in the thumbnail. He called game. Gary Trent Jr. has to go to him. Boom. Boom. He wasn't looking to pass, and I love that confidence. Do you think that Norman Powell would do that? Maybe. But Gary Trent Jr.
Norman
absolutely
Powell shoots them. He shoots them, Riker. But I never seen him make one. I've never, like, he looks confident down in the clutch. We saw him in the playoffs. He took that layup at the end of the game 7, I believe it was. Actually, no, I'm lying. Game 6, he had a clutch layup in overtime. It wasn't a game winner or anything like that, but it was a clutch time bucket. Norm has gotten clutch time buckets, but in terms of game winners, I believe he's taken a couple with the Raptors. I've never seen him hit one. Maybe the chat will correct me if I'm missing something in my brain, but Gary Trent Jr. from the jump, he was not looking to pass, as you mentioned, ran up that court. It was the one possession I saw, and it was icy. I'm loving Gary Trent Jr. He's friends with OG, the core, right? The young core. I'm amped to have these guys rocking, get these guys going. And I also want to mention, right? You know that mask that we brought up on the last podcast on his arm?
Yeah.
Apparently people
it's
were
behind
saying,
it.
Yeah, it's around here, the mask tattoo. Apparently it's because he doesn't show emotion. That's why.
Yeah, I thought he didn't give a very exciting post-game conference
he's
presser.
Cold, man. He doesn't show emotion. He's masked. That's what the tattoo is for. Want to give a shout out there. So lots of fun plays as you brought up in this game, but not all plays can be the spicy Pele of the day, and some just make you say, "Oh, geez." And Riker, I don't know if you watched more of this game than I did. Pascal Siakam did made me verbally say, "Oh geez," at the end of the game when I tuned in for 30 seconds. When he drove down the lane, it's not a gold star because the Raptors won, but down the lane, went and got a charge called on him, and I'm just thinking to myself, how brutal, how tough can it get for this guy trying to make clutch plays? He's playing well, it seems like. 22 points, 5 rebounds on efficient shooting, and this has to happen. Gets a charge. He doesn't even get a shot to rim out. He gets a charge taken on him. It's a tough look. Made me verbally say, "Oh, geez." So I'm throwing it to that. Do you have any other ones in mind, Riker?
Ben, I was gonna bring out. Wow, look at this one,
Whoa!
Ben. Holy.
That's our highest ever super chat. I gotta play this segment. I'm in awe. Right, so D-Man, we gotta just talk about this right now from D-Man. Sacrifice the season, get a great pick, 6 through 11, and don't
No,
forget,
yeah,
6 through 11 could be top with the new lottery odds. It could be a top 3. Sign and trade Lowry. That's a thing I've seen around a lot. Pick up a center, complete a 3 to 5 year rebuild in the matter of one season. We are allowed to suck since we aren't in Toronto. D-Man, these are all the points we've been saying. You just elaborated perfectly in one sentence. We see you.
You knows. He's onto it. He's onto it. Again, the one point that I forget who said I would rather the playoffs. That's valid. You just want to watch the playoffs. You want the excitement. But logically, as a Raptors fan, when you see this core unit, you see these guys playing their hearts out, getting wins, Ben, getting wins against bad teams, but in a way that makes sense, right? In a way that you could see potential. And then just the thought of adding another piece to that young core that you can develop, that can maybe come in and be an impact player, might even be a transcendent player. That to me is just, that makes even more sense. But neither here nor there. OGs, you covered it. I was going to say the same thing. The DeMarre Carroll Gold Star Award for worst performance. And we actually don't have a t-shirt in this one. I'm gonna flash my merch. I don't know if it's on.
The segment's over it. I'm showing you. Flash it now.
Flashing it now. What do you think? The gold logo or the solid logo, Ben? What are you saying?
Let us know what you guys think.
Because we have the Walmart. That's in shirt format as well.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing for the Gold Star because we do need to rename it.
Yep.
And I think people are starting to forget about DeMarre Carroll. We've had turnover with our fan base. And Paul Pierce, he's making a run. And I think it could make sense because it's not insulting any Raptors players. It's just insulting a guy who has made it his career choice to just hate on the Toronto Raptors and to do us 30 in the playoffs. But Ben, if you want to get your own merch, do you have that animation pulled up? I don't know if you...
I got that pulled up. That pulled up there. We're plugging the merch. We're getting all of that rocking. We got a crispy animation from Design My Apparel. You design, we create.
Yo, everyone's shouting out the gold logo. So I agree. The gold logo is actually real nice. I don't have the OG sweater on me, but...
I got my OG sweater upstairs. But we're plugging the merch from these guys. If you like the merch, they're coming from there. You guys can design your own apparel. Do you have the promo code in front of you, Ryker?
Raps15.
Raps15. Design My Apparel. Go to their website. You can design your own clothes like that. And we're going to get a lot of cool stuff going as well the next couple of weeks. I got to get on designing them, but my tsunami of school is the next 7 days. So once that overcome, it's just final season, so it's chill. And then we'll have a nice chill time. But whoa! I think I'm a little bit behind you as well. We have another super chat. We're plugging everything here, and D-Man is coming in with the
This one's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can read it out. I've been watching you guys from Melbourne, Australia for the last few months.
Shout out.
Massive fan. Keep up the great work, lads. Do me a solid and say, good day, mate.
Good day, mate.
Good day, mate.
Good day, mate.
I think that's that's better than most of our pronunciations. Let us know how our accent sounds, but we really appreciate that. We appreciate everyone from around the world on the Raptors Digest. Real cool stuff. Shout out D-Man getting in the super chats. Everyone that's been in the super chats tonight.
And I think everybody in the comment section should apologize to D-Man because there's a lot of disparaging Aaron Baines throughout this season. And as an Australian native, I feel like there's maybe some... maybe he's feeling bad that the guy who takes the most flack is a countryman. And so I just think an apology is in due cause. And I especially want to highlight. Yes, from us too, because the animation is not a negative thing. No. Pylon, it's just a pylon. It's an insurance pylon. Sometimes it's good.
They're very useful.
Sometimes it's bad. And so, Ben, I don't think we gave out a DeMarre Carroll Gold Star for this one. I'm going to give it maybe to, I don't know. I didn't put too much thought into it tonight. Maybe, I don't know. I was going to say the refs down the stretch.
I didn't see this game, so I'm just listing out some names. He had 0 points. How's Stanley tonight?
Oh my God. What? Save your money, Death 4K. This is crazy.
Whoa. Oh my goodness. This is wild. And we have broken our super chat records. D-Man and Death 4K are absolutely killing it tonight. He said, thanks for all your work. Leave a sub, everyone. And Death 4K is not even just super chatting. He's doing our work for us, telling people to sub. We really appreciate that. That's some awesome stuff for us. I'm losing my train of thought with all this stuff, right?
That is the goal, and we're not pushing it maybe as hard as we can, but we really do want to get to 20 because 1v1 we're going to chop it up so the editing is pretty clean, and I think people would be interested to see what our relative basketball skill set is. And we want to make that video and post it, but it makes sense to attach it to the 20K, so hopefully we can hit that milestone. Shout out to everybody listening. We're 4 likes away from 150, so hopefully people get into the like section before you tune out, so shout out to that as well. And this is what I want. Everybody's saying W. The support in this chat has been fantastic. There's been no spammers. Everybody is throwing out very valid comments. We're seeing some people say tank, some people don't, supporting their arguments, right? It's giving us a lot of food for thought. This has been maybe the best fan comment section that we've had since starting live. So shout out to everybody. No,
and not to hype everyone up. We have, obviously we get the meme comments and spammers every now and then, but I think we have, watching other channels, we have a very friendly fan base, good, intuitive Raptor stuff. So we appreciate it. We appreciate all you guys in the chat. We're getting off tangent about this game, about the memes, Riker, but we appreciate it. Someone said
wholesome chat. Wholesome chat.
Wholesome chat. On Riker.
Oh, see, I do have I've lost a lot of weight, and so I don't have that strength anymore. And you have the dribble moves on me. It's gonna be close. I think it could be close.
Jumpers,
but
I'm more streaky than you, I think.
Let me say this always happens, is I'm relatively competitive. I would say I'm extraordinarily competitive, but Ben has a way to get in your head that he'll say things like, his trash talk is, wow, your elbow's a little bit off. It's a little bit right. Watch out for that. Your elbow's a little bit right. Or he'll critique your game.
Life hack for any basketball players, like specific players. Obviously, Riker and I are washed at this point. We're still nice, but we don't play that much anymore. Playing this Friday though, we're excited. But if you ever want to, like, if someone's going off or you just want to get in someone's head, you're guarding them. You obviously don't have to be disrespectful. You don't have to be this, be that. Just tell them, yo, what's that hitch in your shot while you're going up? What, your shot looks a little bit to the left today. Like, say it genuinely like a friend. You can make friends with them, and it's over. They miss everything. It's
yeah.
I'm
so
undefeated.
Ben, he's mind games. Ben, we'll play the final 2 minutes. There's been a couple of real questions here. Can Gary be our closer? Do you think Trent Jr. have a higher ceiling than DeMar?
Stop answering the questions. Pointing out the questions. We got a job to do. Woo!
Wee you. Beep 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 beep
beep beep beep beep beep beep. That's right. The final alarm has gone off, and you guys have been killing it in the chat today. The super chats with takes, Ted Stakes. We love it. Riker, you said you had a few more. Jeez. Oh my god.
Save your money. It is so appreciated,
4K.
But
we gotta send him some merch once we get that stuff, because we got another super chat.
That's true.
That's super chat.
Death 4K, you're first in line for the merch. We are this close with design my apparel. I always get it mixed up. Is it my design apparel or design my apparel?
Quickly play the segment again, I guess.
Play the segment again, and that'll pop up. And so whatever it is, fantastic. Mano, design my apparel. Mano, we've been on the phone. He sent all this amazing merch to us, and we're this close. We've been trying to figure out the logistics, how we're going to get it all work. We had a great phone call, and the merch is the very next step. So Death 4K, you are the first in the queue, my friend, when that merch is rolled out. But we are in the final 2 minutes, and people are talking a lot about Gonzaga. I don't know if the game should be on the go right now, I guess.
They're undefeated, aren't they?
They are. They're undefeated this season.
Apparently
they're trying to be perfect.
17.
They are playing against Baylor, who is the other number 1 seed. I know that much, and that's the extent of it, Ben. That is the extent of it. So we're going to try to stay away.
You and I.
Suggs is on Gonzaga.
You and I.
Oh, actually, Nemhart's on Gonzaga.
Is he?
Who?
We played against.
Yeah. And Ben, he goes really perfectly well into my story about RJ Barrett, because he was playing on Team Canada basketball when they're doing the Olympic qualifiers. They're playing against Team Dominican Republic. I'm selling tickets. I got my VIP pass. I'm courtside. I'm watching these guys. Dylan Brooks, RJ Barrett, Kelly Olynyk, all the boys. They're out there. I go to take a pee. It's after the game. I'm peeing. I'm coming out. My head's down. Maybe I'm doing up my zipper. I bump into somebody. I go to say sorry, and my up. It's RJ Barrett. He's towering above me. He's like 3 years younger, and I still freak out. I'm like, huge fan. He's trying to go into the washroom. I said, I'm sorry. That's my RJ Barrett story.
Man, because I played nationals. I played with you as an underager because Riker's a year older than me. I played a year below. We played in the same tournament as RJ my year while I was an underager. I don't know. Was he on the team with our year together, Riker?
No.
So he was definitely there the year I was there as a regular ager, and we had to play Saskatchewan, Newfoundland versus Saskatchewan. It was a crazy time, and we were up for a lot of the game. Then we subbed out our starters to start the fourth, and Saskatchewan went on a 22-4 run before we all got subbed back in. It was a tough look. If we won that, we'd have played against RJ Barrett, and we would have had some really cool stories for the podcast. But it's unfortunate. It's a tough life. It is what it is. But, we haven't even been answering the chat questions. I think Death 4K also mentioned something in the super chat about Gary Trent Jr. Is he getting the max, Riker?
That's super chat. I promise. Is Gary Trent Jr. getting the max? Well, I hope not. And this is a real genuine concern, is that he's been playing so well. Anybody can put in an offer, right?
Yep.
And Indiana Pacers scared us with Norman Powell saying they're going to come in and offer him the max, and we don't have the option to match. So at least with Gary Trent Jr., whatever is tossed his way, if we feel that the value is there, we can offer him the same amount and we get his rights. But my concern is that he's going to play so well that he's going to get offered 20, 25 million. Ben, did you see how much Drew Holiday just got extended for on 14 points, 17 points, 4 rebound? Like, not a crazy stat line. Pretty good team, but an aging Drew Holiday. Did you see his contract extension? 160 million. Yeah.
160 million.
So the thing is, in today's NBA, you cling on to young players. We saw De'Aaron Fox get maxed early, and I don't think he is a max contract player whatsoever. We saw Jamal Murray, who's thankfully been playing really well, but you just see these young guys go for a lot of money. So the better he plays, the more likely it is somebody's going to give him the pay, and we're pretty locked in. We're pretty tight.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think Norman Powell gets more money because he's more established. He's done it in the playoffs, and that's the big test. And Gary Trent Jr., even though he did it last playoff season, but thinking about Drew Holiday, yes, Drew Holiday is an established top 3 wing defender in the NBA. That's a for certain thing. And yes, he's playing off Giannis and Middleton, so you can make that argument for why his stats would be not as eye-popping. But he probably was going to get that money somewhere in the offseason, so the Bucks had to extend him. They just gave up 5 first-round picks, so maybe they give him a little bit extra incentives to ensure that he stays. But Gary Trent Jr., I don't think he's getting paid that much money. My bet would be 15 to 17. Norman Powell, my bet is 21 to 22. But we got to keep our fingers crossed, because this guy is setting records. This guy is hitting game winners, right? And Siakam, he's in our chat spamming that Gary Trent is DeMar DeRozan with a 3-pointer. Do you agree with that take, Riker?
What's DeMar DeRozan's game? It's a lot of post up. It's a lot of isolation play. That's
for DeMar.
Yeah.
So
that's not Gary Trent Jr. He's a very different player.
Yeah.
5 likes from 200. Let's clue it up.
5
again.
Likes from 200. Yeah, you can see the likes. I can only see the concurrent viewers and stuff. But hop in the likes section, folks. Let's try to get to 200 again. You guys have been goated in the... We don't even have HS in the chat hyping everyone up to get to 200 likes. But he definitely did the work in the last podcast. But we'd really appreciate that there. It's looking like this game. We really appreciate everyone checking this pod out with this game apparently on the go right now. People are giving us some updates with the game happening now.
We blew past 200. So shout out to everybody again. Fantastic podcast. I'm in love with the comment section. I'm always in love with the comment section, but this to me felt like this is this makes me feel good. When we're engaging that much, people are giving good arguments.
Mhm.
It's really divided in some of the hot takes. So it's fantastic. But Ben, I think we should clue it up here. It's been a fantastic one. Everything's been popping tonight. Let's wrap it up. Let people watch the end of that championship game.
For sure.
College
As
basketball.
Riker said, you guys are the best for making this far. Check out the Twitter, the Instagram, all the cool stuff. TikTok, raptorsdigest.ca. It's all getting popping. School is basically done. Riker, I have exam season, but like my classes and stuff are done in a week. Then I am graduated from McGill undergraduate degree. So I apologize if I'm a bit slow on being a bit late on podcasts as we were tonight. But you guys are the best. Crazy stuff happening. The Raptors going to be a really fun watch for the next few weeks. Riker, do you have any last words?
That's it, Ben. Cheers.